All right, ready to dive into One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Absolutely a classic.
Yeah, let's take a deep dive into this 1975 film based on Ken Kesey's novel.
Yeah.
It throws us right into a power struggle, but in a mental institution of all
Well,
places.
it sets the stage for some serious drama.
Right, definitely.
Ah.
So we have Randall McMurphy, this rebellious guy who'd rather fake insanity than serve time.
Dodging a prison sentence ends up in a whole other kind of confinement. Ironic.
Right. He ends up trading one cage for another under the watchful eye of Nurse Ratched.
And Nurse Ratched, oh boy, she's a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. What struck me, though, was how the film isn't just about McMurphy gaming the system.
It goes much deeper than that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it delves into rebellion, conformity, even questions the definition of vanity. What were your initial thoughts?
Well, McMurphy's arrival, it's like a catalyst. He immediately disrupts the ward's whole routine.
Oh, totally. It's like throwing a lit match into a powder keg. Suddenly there's laughter, gambling, chaos even.
He shakes things up, organizing a basketball game, even a fishing trip, anything to bring life into that sterile environment.
Yeah, and that's where the film's critique of 1960s mental health treatment comes in.
Right, back then, control often overshadowed actual care. Things like electroconvulsive therapy were common.
It's chilling to see how easily those treatments were used to enforce conformity, silence anyone who didn't fit in.
Exactly. And McMurphy, he's all about freedom, challenging the rules. He becomes a threat to that system.
It's like watching two forces of nature collide.
You said it. Nurse Ratched with her icy demeanor and McMurphy with his raw energy and defiance.
What did you think about their dynamic?
Almost Shakespearean, this constant power struggle between them.
Absolutely. It plays out in subtle ways, like their approach to group therapy.
Nurse Ratched uses it to expose vulnerabilities, enforce conformity, while McMurphy wants genuine expression.
He encourages them to find their own voices. And that's where we see his impact on the patients, like Chief Bromden.
Gee, at first he's this silent giant, practically invisible.
Right. But McMurphy sees something in him, some hidden strength.
And through their interactions, Chief slowly comes out of his shell.
It's like McMurphy's belief in him helps Chief reclaim himself. Powerful stuff.
Really is. And then there's Billy Bibbit. So painfully shy, completely under Nurse Ratched's control.
It's heartbreaking. His stutter, his anxiety, she uses it all to maintain control.
Billy's character is tragic, really. He embodies the destructive effects of that kind of institutional control.
It's like he's internalized all the shame and guilt, making him doubt himself.
But McMurphy's arrival sparks a bit of hope in him. He sees a way to break free, maybe.
It's fascinating how McMurphy becomes this catalyst for change, not just challenging the rules, but those ingrained beliefs that keep them trapped.
He really cares for them, sees their potential, wants to help them reclaim their lives. He's not just rebelling for the sake of it.
But his actions have consequences. The more he challenges Nurse Ratched, the more he exposes himself to the system's harsh realities.
And the stakes keep getting higher as the film goes on, leading to that tragic climax. It makes you question the price of freedom.
So we have this tension, this clash between McMurphy, this force of nature, and Nurse Ratched, representing the institution.
And caught in the middle, these vulnerable patients trying to find their voice, their identity.
Sets the stage for a captivating story.
And that's what's so brilliant, how it shows these complex characters stuck in this system. It's not just McMurphy against Nurse Ratched. It's each patient, struggling with their own sense of self-worth.
It's true. It's like each one shows us a different way institutionalization can really mess with someone.
Yeah.
You have Martini, lost in his delusions, then Cheswick, terrified of any confrontation.
Each one adds another layer to how the film looks at mental illness and how society sees it, too.
And that really struck me, how it doesn't shy away from the realities of it all.
It doesn't try to make it prettier or more dramatic than it is. It's raw, honest.
Ahead of its time, I think. And that might be why it still resonates with people today.
Right. Absolutely. It challenges the stigma around mental illness.
Yeah.
It makes you face your own biases,
Reminds us, these are real people with real struggles, not just stereotypes.
It humanizes them, encourages empathy and understanding.
And speaking of humanizing, the visual storytelling is amazing. The way the camera moves through the ward, you really feel trapped in their world.
The sterile environment, the patients' faces, you feel the weight of the institution.
You really get that sense of confinement. And the music adds to it, too.
That Native American flute melody, right? So haunting.
It sets this tone, both sad but also resilient. It hints at what's coming for McMurphy,
Mm.
but it also acknowledges that spirit of resistance.
Yeah,
So you have this bleak setting, this oppressive atmosphere, but there's this spark of hope, too.
it keeps flickering. And McMurphy's influence is so important there. He brings in those moments of joy, the laughter.
Like the fishing trip. That scene is iconic.
A real escape from the ward, even if it's just for a bit.
Gives them a taste of freedom, reminds them what it feels like to actually live.
And that makes his downfall so much harder to watch. The system basically crushes his spirit.
But his actions still have an effect, even in defeat. Look at Chief Bromden's transformation.
He goes from silent observer to taking his own freedom, carrying on that defiance.
That final scene where he breaks free, so powerful.
It's liberating, but tragic at the same time.
Shows the human spirit's will to resist.
Even against incredible odds.
And that's what makes this film so timeless. It's not just about a mental institution. It's about the human condition.
Our need for autonomy to define ourselves.
And it makes you think about power and control, too.
Who decides what's sane? What's normal?
How do we resist systems that try to control us, make us all the same?
Questions that are just as relevant now as they were back then.
Absolutely. This film's critique of institutions, the power dynamics, it all goes beyond any specific time.
It's why it's not just a good movie. It stays with you, makes you think critically about the world,
It makes you question the systems in your own life, too. At work, in relationships.
makes you look at where you conform, where you rebel.
And think about the consequences of those choices.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. It's not just, passively watching something.
It gets under your skin, makes you think.
It does. Makes you think about times you felt like McMurphy, pushing against the system.
Or times you held back, maybe, like Billy. Afraid to challenge authority.
Yeah,
It's that struggle we all have between fitting in and breaking free.
right.
We've all got a bit of McMurphy and a bit of Billy inside us, I think. The film makes you look at that.
What it means to be an individual, but also part of something bigger.
Exactly.
And it does all this with such powerful acting, too.
Oh, the performances are incredible.
Jack Nicholson as McMurphy, he just electrifies the screen.
He really captures that charisma, the rebellious spirit, but that vulnerability too.
You see what fighting the system does to him, emotionally and everything?
Yeah. And Louise Fletcher as Nurse Ratched. Wow.
Talk about a masterclass in passive aggression.
That subtle menace,
Yeah.
It's what makes her such a fantastic villain.
She resists the system, cold and calculating.
Totally convinced she's right too.
It could have been a caricature, but she brings so much nuance to it.
You almost get her, even while her methods are just awful.
And the rest of the cast, too. Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd, Brad Dourif, everyone's amazing.
They show so many sides of mental illness, remind us there's no single story.
Right.
No easy answers when it comes to the human mind.
It's a real ensemble piece. Every character matters.
And that's what makes this film a masterpiece, really.
It has everything. The storytelling, the acting, those thought-provoking themes.
It stays relevant even decades later.
It's a film that begs to be talked about, debated.
It sticks with you, makes you ask hard questions about yourself, the world.
So, as we finish up this deep dive, think about the systems in your own life.
The institutions, the power structures, all of it. Where do you see those echoes of rebellion, like McMurphy?
And are there times when conforming is actually the braver thing to do?
Something to think about.
Definitely. Yeah. However you feel about McMurphy's choices, he makes an impact.
On the patients, on us as viewers. He makes us face those ideas of freedom, sanity, and the guts it takes to challenge things.
Absolutely. So, if you haven't seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, please go watch it.
And if you have, watch it again. You'll find something new each time.
It's a testament to its power. Until next time, keep those minds engaged.
Keep exploring human experience through stories like this one.
Absolutely.